you all so much, and thank you for coming and being here. I have been an artist and designer my entire life. And one of the first questions that I get is, what is user experience design? I'm a user experience design assistant professor. And when we think about user experience design, it entails, for most people, we all have phones, we all have websites that we go to, and we often think that's the user interface, designers make those. But it's much more than that. It's about thinking, what are the products and services that people need in order to enhance their lives? And that can be many, many forms. We want to make sure that it's easy, enjoyable, and useful. If we look in this room, almost everything has been designed by a human. And we have to think about what are the goals that people need and listen to what it is that they need in order to improve their lives. Design is often thought of a new profession. Well, guess what? It's been around a very long time. It's been around, this is 25,000 years old. This is a map that Google used for reference whenever they were creating Google Maps. And it was designed by a designer, just with pen and paper. Then we had this thing called the wheel that designers designed. And we had the printing press, and designers created designs that were on and from the printing press. We had adding machines and calculators that designers created. And I used one of these. I don't know about how many of you in the room, but we have these personal computers. And not just the screen and what's on the screen is what's been designed, but we have to think about the ergonomics and where are people at in their environments. Am I inside? Am I outside? Am I tired? Has it been a long day? Depending upon how you're working. So when the mouse was created, that was a very, very long, huge study from people to figure out what it is they needed. And I had every one of these phones, and the Palm Pilot as well. And I was so excited when I got my email on my phone. But the designers not only designed what would be on the screen and where it would be located and why it would be located in certain ways. But when we have a phone, there's a reason there's buttons on the bottom. Because you don't want to reach all the way up to get to a button on your phone. I was a designer whenever the iPhone came out. I was a designer and was in college when the web was really starting. And none of us really knew what we were doing. And we were just like, oh, we're going to design a phone design in Adobe Photoshop. And it's going to take hours and hours and hours and hours. These were some of the tools that I used. Some people in this room might recognize them, but these are what designers used in around the 90s, okay? And before that, like I mentioned, there was all these other ways that people designed. Now we're looking at extended reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. And what I found from being a designer and all these different technologies, that I have to remember the basic design principles and think about the humans and the people that I'm designing for. Because AI is just a tool. It's not something that is new and invigorating. It's something that we use as designers in order to create those solutions that we're looking for. This is a quote by Donald Norman. And Donald Norman was known as the founder, the modern founder of user experience design. And he really sums it up by saying that people are not machines. People are human beings. And AI is just a way to aid in those activities. I also try to think about AI is something that not only the users and the people who are creating something and the designers, but we work together. So whatever people are telling us they need, we create designs that helps that. Many of you might be, everyone probably has social media. We tend to think if we click or tap on something, that means that that's what I'm going to receive. Well, now, you could just be scrolling and pause for a second, and it knows that you're interested in that. And so we are able to say, well, how are we going to get what people need to them faster? This was a study done about even 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this is from a company called Nielsen Norman Group, which is where Donald Norman is found. And UX designers, including myself, we use AI a lot. We use it, several times per week, 63%. And when we're using it in prompt form and as a design aid. It reminds us we have an extra design assistant with us. We have an extra researcher with us. These tools allow designers to increase our productivity, increase our quality of work so that we can spend our time focusing on what we really want to be focusing on, which is talking to the people that we're designing for and finding out how close we are to what it is that they actually are wanting. Are we on the right track or not? And also allows us to enhance our skill set in other things that we might need to be doing. So where does AI fall in all of this? We have to remember as designers, we're not only designing for the people, we're also designing for humanity, and we're designing for the future. And we have to make sure that we keep it human behavior focused, humanity centered, and sustainable. We could design a product that has a box that is this big with all these materials that come with it, versus I could design a box that's this big that is with recycled materials and it uses less materials as well. These are books by Donald Norman that I wanted to just tell all of you about in case you wanted to put them on your shelves. For every designer, we always have these on our shelves. And he just wrote the book, Design for a Better World, and talking about humanity design and AI and where that falls into play. When users are creating, we've heard that there's AI art out there, and we have to take into account that the copywriting, we have to make sure that we are reading the terms of use and conditions, because some AI tools are more ethical than others. So we have to make sure we're aware of those. And then we have to look at what is the process that we actually do when we do this. The first thing is that ideation. I use it as a way to think about how can I come up with all these different ideas. I remember when there were stock photo books, and I'd have to go to the library and get a stock photo book and scan all the pictures. Well, now I can go online and just get all these images, but now I can say, I want to get a picture of a dog, but if I type in, I want a dog in a field with flowers, I'll get all these different ideas, and something might spark something for me. Then we generate images. Now you might think, oh, one image generation. We generate about 100 or more every time that we're coming up with ideas and thinking. And we don't use necessarily the images that come right out, and I'll get to that in a minute. And we use text prompts. So we create these text libraries that are probably pages and pages of written ways that we are trying to say what we want to be thinking about for the design solution. And we keep those libraries. I just keep mine in a Pages document. And then I go, okay, how did I say that last time? And how do I want to say it this time? But as a designer, we have choices. And anything that's been designed can always be redesigned. Not only redesigned, but then we can say, maybe we need to iterate on that 100 million times. And then we also think about what is not necessarily the output that I'm receiving from the image generation, but how can I edit that and refine it and make it different than what I receive. So I can type in, I need a search bar. It'll give me a search bar, but chances are it's not the search bar I want, it's not the color I want, but by knowing the timeless design principles of I know what color it should be, I know what size it should be, if it's balanced or not, and then we export everything out and save it various ways. We use programs called Figma that often we have these FigJam boards where we put all of these ideas into the forms. But then we say, what's meeting our goal? And one of the things about user experience design is that we always make sure that we are asking people who we're designing for over and over again, are we on the right track? And Nielsen-Norman Group says that you only need to user test with 5 to 10 people, and you usually get about the same results after that. Now, when it comes to interviewing people, it depends upon what you're interviewing for. It could be Target, or it could be a small little company in town. With machine learning, we're able to get algorithms to know, well, people are doing this on the website, so that's going to help us know, hey, we should go in this direction. Well, no one is really interested in this part of this information, so let's focus on this more. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of something that I've created to kind of give you an idea. These are just some sample images from AI generation of about 100 that I had created on a text prompt that I put in. You're probably wondering, what is her prompt? Monkeys was one, the universe, metaphysics, psychology, so I was playing into that. After I got all these images, I went through and picked elements from all of them, and I created a composition in a program called Adobe Photoshop, which designers use all the time. After I had this, I then went in and I drew it by hand. So it's almost like taking that full circle moment of using the AI machine learning for ideation as a tool, as a partner, but then also going back into those natural forms of just drawing with paper and pen. This is from a program called Figma, which designers use. And you can see here that many of us probably use ChatGPT, we're all familiar with, or even your Gmail, when you're typing a message, it tells you what you should probably say anymore. And so this is a way for us to say, I wanted to rename my layers, for example. I have had files that has maybe 600 layers in it. Well, that takes me a really long time to rename all of those layers, whereas I can hit this button and it will rename them all for me. This is a tool that just came out over the summer, so this is fairly new. I can also say make a design. So rather than me having to go to other forms and other platforms to go find a page in a UI design for an app that might be on your settings, I can then say, give me some setting screens, and then I can edit and change those. So it makes a little bit more efficient. As you may have guessed, everything that's in this presentation is from an AI generation using Adobe Firefly. I wanted to show you what it looks like just with one prompt. This is just from the first prompt. It isn't from me doing an exhaustive form of them. So I thought you might be interested to see what that looks like. And I tried to have each one be what I was talking about on each slide. But here's the thing. To just have AI output right away, you're going to notice there's an error. Professor in me wants me to ask all of you. But there's an error in this image. If you look, the pencils are a little tilted, right? There's always something where there might be 2 or 3 strings or 2 or 3 eyes. And so it's not quite perfect yet, but it'll get there. But as I mentioned, you can't be comfortable in saying, this is the technology and we can't move forward with it. We have to figure out how can we use it in an ethical manner as well. Thank you for listening and learning.